So you think you're going to live your life alone, in darkness, in seclusion. Yeah, I know. You've been out there and tried to mix with the animals, and it just left you full of humiliated confusion. But the feeling of loneliness never leaves you. It haunts you everywhere you go. And then you meet me, and your whole world changes. Because everything I say is everything you've ever wanted to hear. So you drop your defenses, and you drop all your fears. And you're so busy feeling good that you never question why things are going so well. You want to know why? 'Cause I'm a liar! Yeah, I'm a liar! I'll tear your mind out! I'll burn your soul!
Henry Rollins in the studio with us. Nice to see you again, sir.
Thank you.
And you are out on the road again, which is, there's no sense of even bringing that up. You're always out on the road one place or another. But
I try.
This is back with the spoken word tour that you're doing, and this is Frequent Flyer Tour?
Yes, sir.
What are you going to be doing this time? What are the topics?
I have been doing a lot of traveling in the last several months, all over the world, Middle East, Africa, Asia, and besides that, I was on a TV show last year called The Sons of Anarchy. It's kind of fun, so there's a few funny stories from that, and just different events last year and this year are good for storytelling. And yeah, America's a very interesting place right now, and there's no shortage of things to talk about. Almost day to day, there's things that stick in the craw and need to be talked about.
Do you always think to yourself, though, I need X amount of comedy, X amount of drama? Is there some kind of a chemical mix-up, or you just let the stories come together?
There should be a good mix to keep an audience with you for quite a long time, and I've found that the less I aim for it, the easier it finds itself very naturally.
So do you know how long you're going to be up at any given time? Because you'll stay hours.
Yeah, the other night at Irving Plaza, those poor people, it was 3 hours and 1 minute.
3 hours?
Yeah, I keep a stopwatch for their benefit, not mine. If I look down at it and it's anything over 2.5, I realize I have to start landing the Zeppelin and let them out. Yeah, the story. I just go up there with a set of things I want to get to. I would not like to ramble. I would not like to go up there unprepared, because the show would go sideways. With me, would go sideways. With other people, they might be able to hack through that dense underbrush. Not me. So I go up there fairly focused on exactly what I want to lay on them.
Well, you are some out of the people who come from rock. You're probably one of the more curious people that we've ever had being out to get this. So many times people are just self-referential in their work. And some really great people, but it's just about themselves.
Well, it's kind of the nature of what you do, though. I mean, for me, it certainly could be, in that people work, I guess, for me. On the marquee, it's my name, Henry, 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 all the time. And so I don't... that's kind of a can that lacks any air holes. You know, you can't get out of that, and so I try and get out of that as much as possible, or keep it at a safe distance.
So you know to yourself that it could happen to you. You have to say to yourself, I need to find out more about the work. I mean, when you were traveling, is it to keep feeding the art itself, or is it because you're actually curious about some of these things?
Both. Yeah. I mean, I'm curious as hell about the world, and but pretty much anything that's going on it can, if it's given to me in the right way, I find it pretty interesting. Like a good documentary on yarn, if it's done well, I'll watch. And it certainly informs what I say on stage. And I just find the world interesting, and I think we're living in interesting times. So I try and go get the source. You know, if something's happening in India, I want to go see what that's like. I go if I can, and certainly that's what I bring on stage. So it all kind of feeds into the one place.
Well, when you had your show with IFC, and you had fantastic people. The bookings were terrific. It really was. I mean, the one thing that you'd say about the show, because I was so disappointed when you stopped doing it, but at least that stuff still exists, that you can go back and watch some of those interviews. But I could tell that you were a person who was curious. So much when we watch the TV interviews, tell us a funny story about the plane or before you just got here. But you were one of the few people that was working on TV that still would talk to actors or directors about their work.
Yeah. Well, yes, that's what I'm interested in. As far as like an actor, I don't care about the funny dog story and who you're dating. It means nothing to me. It's their business, not mine. But as far as the art, and also it's the Independent Film Channel. And so hopefully, if we're going to talk to an actor, we're going to talk about that independent film they were in. So when we had like Penelope Cruz on, and it's easily to diverge with Penelope Cruz into like what designer she has or some famous person she has dated, which is not of any relevance to me. She's a great actress. And so we talked about her foreign film work, you know, with Pedro Almodovar and people like that. And she was like, we can talk about that. I said, well, it's an Independent Film Channel. Yeah, and that's all we talked about was her Italian film work and her Spanish film work. And she was so happy to, because you can't necessarily do that on NBC. They want to know about the famous guy you're dating. And so I took advantage of that, because I don't want to know that stuff. And so I tried to have interesting people on, like Larry Flint. And well, Gore Vidal, which was
amazing, just to see him back on TV.
It was an honor to talk to that guy, because he won't be with us forever. So.
And you know, I know he had done TV, you know, years before, and they would have him on, but it's just amazing to show that we've kind of all fallen into one type of TV. I'm sure that there's a reason to have, you know, Tom Hanks. If he's got a movie coming out, he's going to do 10 shows that week, and then you don't see Tom Hanks again. But you could see him go out and maybe 10 times and only do amusing stories about the hotel or whatever. People never really get in deep. What I loved about what your show was doing is that you had a chance to see some people in a way that you're just not used to seeing them.
I figured that's what a viewer would want. I tried to make a TV show that I would watch. And I'm not an elitist. I'm not too cool for school. But I got a low tolerance for boredom.
Right.
And I can vote with my remote. I got an option. And, you know, there's so many stations on TV or radio, whatever. Americans have nothing but options. So I figured all my viewers were like with their thumbs slightly depressed on the channel change to get away from me if I bored them. So we better have interesting guests being asked interesting questions, burning lean tissue, and bands that don't try the patience or try the patience in a great way. So that's what we tried to do. We did 2 seasons, and IFC took their money and went elsewhere. It's not, you know, as it is with other people's money. You don't get a whole lot of say in that.
But what I really think is cool, too, is like it can't be – that stuff exists now. I think it's on iTunes, and you can go back and watch it. So even at the very least, maybe it's pushed something on that this can be tried again, or just a chance to see some of these people.
I thought the thing was just getting started, quite honestly. I thought the first season was good. The second season was better. And I think the thing could have got some real momentum.
Absolutely.
Oh well.
But you now, when you're going out, let's say that people are buying tickets to go see you, you're already kind of talking to the converted, though, right? Which
sure. What else can I do? Stand on a street corner and howl at the moon. I mean, I think any performer type, and I call it preaching to the perverted. I mean, they're your people. They show up. I mean, I don't go to a gig because I hate the guy. I mean, I'm not going to spend $35 going to see a band I hate. And I'm not going to, you know, some comedian or somebody I don't like. I'm not going to go there and ruin the show and boo and heckle. That's not me. So, of course, you get people who like you. I mean, that's what's going to happen.
But do you feel then the need is to take them to other places?
Absolutely.
They wouldn't necessarily went.
Right. And that's a great way to be with some like-minded people and say, look, we're all kind of on the same page, I guess. We're all under the same roof. So let's get active. Let's do stuff. Here's some problems. Let's talk about it. Here's what I saw over there. I'm sure you don't think this is a good idea. Let's get busy. And so you can be in front of people who are like-minded and still have something good come of it. And quite often this happens. I get a lot of mail. I meet a lot of people who go to the shows, and they say, well, you know, my boyfriend disagrees with everything you stand for, okay, but I brought him to the show, and, you know, he still disagrees with you on about 97% of it, but he liked about 3% of what you said, and it made him think, hey, we got a light bulb going on. No, Professor. But I do have a point of view that some people might disagree with. I'm one of those crazy people who thinks education for all Americans should be mandatory, and health care as well. And so some people will say, well, I have a problem with that. Well, okay, well, and therefore we disagree. But it might make them think a little. And so I think my alternative is to not get up and let it rip, or to go start yelling on the subway. I don't want to get thrown to the ground and handcuffed.